And there's this friend, Frank, who's been talking. I found his Facebook. He's still a friend on Facebook with Stefan. So funny, he has not deleted that. But he talks like really in defense of Stefan, but also says like, I don't condone it sort of thing. And he says how many kids he has. I've seen pictures of his kids. I won't show that. But Frank he like literally hung out with Stefan, he says, like the week before this all broke. So that's crazy. And I think, like, how could you not know? Like, I know there's people out there who, like, hide their lives and, like, can be, like, serial unalivers, and then people have no idea. But, like, someone who you're close to and play video games with and all that sort of stuff is so weird, especially in the interview. It was on T-Rev's channel. He had said that, like, from what he knows, Stefan only liked young girls. But then going ahead and looking at Stefan's charges, assume he also liked little boys. And I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, so I'll dive into that a little bit later. But because Frank says he has 2 kids, 2 boys, and says like how young they are, and it's the age that Stefan appears to preference when it comes to boys. So it's disgusting and just so messed up. I think I mentioned this ahead of time, but not this first thing, but the second thing is that, so Stefan was really into Tamagotchis, and he's part of like Tamagotchi Reddit threads and all that sort of thing. And then that YouTube video that showed him, also he has a Reddit post that matches that exact outfit, and he's wearing a Tamagotchi. But then also, like I said before, is that he was really into board games, and he posted about board games all the time. He also collected figurines, by the way, and like painted them. So people like, I think his friend had said he always stayed up late, and people assumed he did like DRUGSs and stuff. But from what I saw on his Reddit, he painted figurines until like 3 a.m. You know, like I would think like Dungeons and Dragons. I don't like that just comes to my, I don't know that. I'm not in that world, so sorry if I get that all wrong, but that's like the sort of thing that Stefan was into. Doesn't mean he wasn't doing all this disgusting stuff, but I don't know if it was DRUGSs, you know, I don't know about that. The reason why I think that is about the board games, and I had mentioned before, like I wonder if Jennifer and Stefan were friends with Steven and Josephine and played board games with them, because that picture, you know, like I don't know, it's weird to me. It's just like, doesn't mean like everybody who plays them is that, but like if they're in that world, like why didn't they get a divorce, you know? Like were they on really, you think if you're on, I don't know, like it just doesn't make sense. So like a lot of things with this case, and not a lot really adds up. Okay.
All I can think about is that guy Brian's fucking interview. So David comes out, David Solomon, making all these accusations about people, right? Well, this is one of the guys that he made accusations about, that he said Stefan knew, and it was part of the trafficking ring, that Stefan and these guys were friends. So this is the guy that David Solomon was talking about.
The day.
Well, the fantasy started because I had a dream one night about a boy who could breathe fire. And I had been writing some for my kids because they're all homeschooled, and teaching them how to write, I was writing a story for them. And,
Wow.
And so we developed this dream idea into a story, which eventually became Dragons in Our Midst, and that started a rebirth in the Christian fantasy genre.
Do you do that intentionally, or do you kind of think about your own children, or do you go outside of that to do some research and kind of find out what's pressing kids' buttons these days?
I do both. I definitely do both. I had 4 teenagers at the same time, so I had a lot of feedback and be able to bounce the ideas off them.
You know that they're connected to the internet, so you've used that as a tool to talk to them. Tell me about that.
Yes, I have a very active message form. We've had over 1 million messages posted over the years, and I private message with the kids and help them with their problems. They're writing to me about pornography and cutting. And
partnership with James Artville. So I came up with this presentation. Lou steps up and says, I'll do it. It's impossible. When readers see this, and then they see that they actually go out and do it anyway, because of their courage and their faith, they can relate to that. My problems are impossible. I got this bully at school. Maybe I'm abused by one of my parents or whatever it is. I'm trapped. And he needs help. It's not like I'm all so big, brave, and strong. I'm going to do this thing. I'll do it, but I don't know what to do. That's where the empowerment comes in. Frodo gets the help that he needs, and it's all part of the story. The unlikely hero, because there's no way he can do it, steps up. All he has to do is be willing. That's what it's like in our spiritual lives. All we have to do is be willing. Say, God, I don't know how to do it. Here I am, send me. Hey, I'm sending you. I'm going to send you the help along as well. We see that again and again in Christian-based fantasy. So he was willing to do it. example. I heard from a girl in, how old was Jessica? 17? With Grand Rapids? She's 17. She was 16 or 17. She was being sexually abused by her father. And threatened. You know, if you ever tell your mother, you know, I'll kill you or whatever they do. And then she saw signs that he was about to start on her younger sister. And one night she was just weeping, all alone, had just been abused. And she looked up at her bookshelf and saw my books up there.
Connected to the internet, and so you've used that as a tool to talk to them. Tell me about that.
Yes, I have a very active message form, private message with the kids and help them with their problems. They're writing to me about pornography and cutting.
Partnership with James Artville.
On Facebook, just chatting in a Brian Davis's group. They were fellow fans of his fantasy series, and they became friends, and they bonded over, geeking out, that kind of stuff. And at the time, we thought he was sick, but he was a minor, and he was telling about his mother, the cancer, and Shyla was moved with pity, and so she agreed to have him stay with us while his mother underwent chemotherapy. So he was just deathly afraid of this figure, this imaginary father that we had no idea if it was real or not. But that created an environment of paranoia in my home. My children were afraid. My wife was afraid. Any knock on the door, like the pizza man, the mailman, was seen as danger. And it got to the point where my wife encouraged me to quit my job and take the kids and up and leave and move to flee the city, to go up north. I thought that was obviously a little extreme, and I wasn't sure of the validity of his claims about this father of his. What ended up happening was we went to visit my wife's sister, who lived in the Seattle, Washington area. Mm-hmm. So we drove up there, and they stayed up there for the remainder of the duration. And then I didn't go with them. I stayed home working.
And I'm a survivor of human trafficking. Mr. Stearns was part of my trafficking ring, and he actually was one of the runners of it. So I was taken to British Columbia. It's over the border of Washington. And I was chloroformed from, Brian Davis and James Artville, Shiloh Artville, and Sarah Rose, me. They chloroformed me in front of my mom in Oregon City, which is kind of a rural part of Oregon, if you've ever been. Mm-hmm. I was chloroformed in front of my mom, and I was sold as a sex slave to Canada. Unfortunately, into that, I had never been on my own. I saw horrible things.